Here we are in the news director's office, PJ Kamancic. He's actually letting me sit in his chair, the big boy chair. What do you think?
You feel important?
Yes. Anything that he does, I feel important. And by the way, he and the other boss, Mr. Gracie, are working on our election coverage, so I hope you'll tune in November the 8th for that from the award-winning KDK Newsroom. Here he is, Andrew Fittipaldi, and of course, every day, 10 until 2, Monday through Friday, 93.7, The Fan with the legend that is Ron Cook.
This is becoming a Friday tradition.
I look forward to this. This is the highlight of my life. All right, listen. Here you go. The Tribune Review, hockey. San Jose Sharks, 32 saves, Marc-Andre Fleury. It looked as though it was a lost cause until that 7:15 span in the third. You get 3 goals, Hornquist, Wilson, and Malgeny, as in Evgeny Malkin. So what happens? You win 3-2. That's the same team that they hoisted the cup on their home ice in the Shark Tank just a few months ago. Can you really get a barometer on this team until Sid gets back?
Can you get a... Yeah, you know why? Because you can figure out what kind of team they are, how good they are without their best player. So what I mean is, when they're able to beat a team like San Jose, which is pretty much at complete health, they return just about everybody off of last year's Western Conference Championship team. And you're without Crosby, you're without Chris Letang, who's your minutes leader and your best defenseman. And then you get 2 defensemen injured in that game. Okay, you lose Oli Mata, you lose Derek Pouliot, you're down to 4 defensemen. And you trail in the third period 2-0, and you win. That says a lot about your team. So the barometer for me would be that this team is so talented, has so much depth, that short-handed, they're able to beat one of the best teams in the NHL, and they're able to do it in dramatic fashion.
All right, now let's move on to the Steelers. Landry Jones. Is he worthy of getting this start? And if so, how long before you think Mike Tomlin may say, you know what, let's go to the third string guy?
For me, he's one of the worst backup quarterbacks in the NFL. If you look at what he's done since he came off the bench and helped beat Arizona last year, his quarterback rating is in the 40s. That's awful. He's thrown 1 touchdown to 5 interceptions. I found a stat the other day that said, and this is, Rob, this is an old trite saying that you've probably heard before. You give any quarterback time and space in the NFL, they're good enough to pick you apart.
You don't believe that?
Well, he hasn't been, and the numbers back that up. When he has not been pressured now, when he has not faced any pressure, he has completed only 50% of his passes, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's scary. So I think the situation here is they don't have a better alternative. Mettenberger's 0-10 as a starter in his NFL career. If they're desperate enough, maybe not this game, but after the bye week, they could turn it over to him. It's Landry's job for now. Me personally, I would have traded for Ryan Fitzpatrick this week. I would have used a 6th or 7th round pick, maybe even a conditional pick. If he started X number of games, the pick goes up. If he stinks, the pick goes down. Put some parameters on it, because that's a guy that's, even though he's not setting the world on fire, a great NFL quarterback, he's proven to be good to adequate in this league. Landry Jones has not proven to be that.
Well, the Jets have 1 win, so how much longer before Geno Smith gets that job?
He's starting Sunday.
There you go.
So Fitzpatrick now becomes a disposable quarterback. They have 4. He's in the last year of his contract. And I've heard people say, well, we argued about this on our show. Well, he's not any good. Why would the Steelers want him? He won 10 games last year and he threw 30 touchdowns. I'm sorry, that resume is better than Landry Jones. It's important that this team maximizes its time with Ben Roethlisberger. Put somebody in here who gives them a chance to keep their head above water while Ben's out.
Here's the problem. Even though Baltimore and Cincinnati have had their problems in Cleveland, we know that story. If Ben, now they're saying possibly 6 weeks, by the time he gets back, even with that bye week, if they don't make a move, I think, to get a quarterback, this season's lost.
Well, the trade deadline's tomorrow.
Well, they got time yet.
Okay, the clock's ticking. I mean, you've got a nice watch there.
No, though. This is one of those 5 and dime watches.
No. That's one that comes from like the old, one of those old department stores downtown. What's
Woolworth.
Grimbles or
Gimbals.
Gimbals. That's a Gimbals watch right there.
And that would have been a good watch.
So they're running out of time here. I think they have expressed outwardly in indirect and even direct ways. They have shown that they do not have a lot of confidence in Landry Jones.
Could they do something today, do you think, or is that a moot point?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. To me, it depends. It all depends on what their level of desperation is. Could they fit Fitzpatrick's contract under the salary cap? I mean, he gets it's said almost in a derogatory way with Fitzpatrick sometimes. Well, he went to Harvard, like it's sometimes it gets construed as a negative with him, like he's kind of an egghead.
That's a good thing.
But in all seriousness, in the history of the NFL, he is the highest among quarterbacks. He has the highest score on the Wonderlic test in the history of that combine ritual. So that to me shows that he's got a super high IQ, probably can retain information better than most. So if you brought him in, you'd have a bye week to get him ready. And maybe you wouldn't play him in the next game against Baltimore, but if things took a step backwards with Jones, he'd probably be available after that. And I think he'd give the Steelers a better chance to win.
Move on to college football quickly. But is this your idea, Fitzpatrick, or did it come from somewhere else?
Right here, man.
Well, let me just say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. The movie Magnificent Seven, you could have ridden on the saddle next to Denzel Washington. Give me a little high five on that.
I don't even know what that means, but
that's a good thing.
Okay.
But that's a great idea.
Thank you.
All right, listen, college football. Pitt is off. Virginia Tech next week. That,
Yep.
of course.
Thursday night or prime time.
Prime time.
Yep.
But also, Penn State, Ohio State. We blogged about this last night with Jim Equals of the Beaver County Times.
Who's he like?
Ohio State. This is not what it used to be. Will Penn State ever get back to where this game will matter for them?
When you say matters, you mean like they're vying for the same
That
prize?
they have a chance to even beat Ohio State within the, say, Urban Meyer lifetime of the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think it might, and let me tell you why. I'm very impressed by, in a short amount of time, the strides that Penn State has made since the Pitt game to now. I mean, to lose to Pitt, which is a rivalry game, when you proclaim yourself as the best team in the state, you lose a game like that, that might have a negative residual feeling that carries over. To lose to Michigan the way they did, just completely embarrassed. We've seen this quarterback McSorley grow up. I think he's playing great. I mean, running and throwing the ball. We've seen Saquon Barkley, the running back there. He could play for anybody. I mean, if he was at Ohio State, he'd be their starting running back. He's that good.
Right.
So we're now seeing some of the talent that Franklin brought in. They're fitting into his system. The schedule after Ohio State looks a lot easier. Michigan State's down. They get them at home. Iowa's good, but not great. Rutgers stinks. Purdue's terrible. I mean, there's a chance, even with a loss on Saturday, Rob, that Penn State wins 9 games.
That's okay.
And if they win 9 games plus a bowl game, they could get the double-digit wins, which in year 3 of James Franklin would go from hot seat to you're doing a good job. And if he continues to recruit the way that he's doing, will he equal Michigan or Urban Meyer? I'm not sure, but say every 4 or 5 years, maybe they will have a chance at Happy Valley to knock off one of those great teams.
But for Pitt and Penn State, they cannot let any player out of Western Pennsylvania go to Notre Dame. And it's been happening of late, and the only way they're going to stop that is if they start winning on a regular basis.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point, Rob, where the percentage with these 4-star, 5-star players locally, I don't think we're ever going to see it get to where there's a wall that goes up, and they're not going to keep the best kids from going to Ohio State and Notre Dame. I still think where we're at, we can believe or we can have faith that Pitt and Penn State will get the majority of those players. But I still think you get Notre Dame into your living room or Ohio State. Those are sales pitches that are hard to say no to. Even if you want to play in front of mom and dad, you can drive to Columbus. It's not that far. You can even get in the car and drive to Notre Dame. So I still think as long as those programs continue to be national powers, they'll still pull players out here.
Before we talk Major League Baseball and Terry Francona, let's...
You got to make PJ stand the whole time while we do this?
Yeah, he can handle it. He's tough. He's from the north side. All right, listen. West Virginia could be 6-0 for the first time since 2006.
They'll win, but it's a dangerous game.
But now listen, Russell Shell, I'm actually thinking...
He had a big game last Saturday.
I'm actually thinking he's a low first-round pick.
No.
No, second round? Come on.
No, I don't think so.
Strong, big?
No, I mean, he'll get invited to the combine.
No. Don't say free agent to me.
I think he's a late-round pick or he's a free agent, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Even if he just runs the table?
Yeah, I do. I don't think I have to give him credit here. He's rebounded after what was a tough junior year. He pretty much lost that job to Smallwood, who's now with the Eagles. I saw him early in the season a couple times in person. I was at the Missouri game. I did not come away impressed with him. But, that game, the way they played on Saturday at Texas Tech, and I don't know if you knew this, Texas Tech had scored at least 50 points at home 9 times in a row. It was an NCAA record. They held them to 17 points.
Yeah, and also
You
they
know how
lost
they did
9
it?
starters on their defense
And you know
last
how
year, too.
and Henry's out, Draymond Henry, who I think would have been their best defensive player if he didn't tear up his knee in camp. So, to me, Shell right now, I need to see him do it on a week-to-week basis, Rob. I really do.
Even if he runs the table, like I said, you still think he
No,
is?
I don't think he's a first-round pick. I think he's a middle to late round pick.
All right, Major League Baseball. Terry Francona, Cleveland Indians. Biggest story in these parts. Best matchup for them. Cubs.
Dodgers, for sure.
Okay.
Because the Dodgers don't have the pitching depth that the Cubs have. Their hitting can go hot and cold. The Cubs are fielding, hitting, pitching, the best team in the playoffs. And I think if Cleveland's going to keep their magic going, even though the Cubs would have more pressure on them, the team whose talent I think they match up better against would be LA.
Only because you have the U.S. Open swag on Tiger Woods, Stephen Colbert last night. Great interview.
Really?
Talking about
I
his
didn't see
20th anniversary of his foundation. Arnold Palmer, of course.
Why wasn't he here for the funeral? Did he mention that?
No, he didn't. That's a question, but still, lifelong friend of Arnold Palmer. Arnold loved him. He ever competitive again? Does he get to the Final Four?
No, I don't think so.
Nicholas?
If he wins a tournament, I'll be surprised. If he wins a major, I'll be flabbergasted.
Look at this coffee cup, man. Nice, like that. What's that on there? Ooh, Clarion University.
It looks
alma
just
mater.
like a normal coffee cup to me. You really that enamored with it, man?
I am. It's Clarion.
All right, Rob. Thank you, brother.
Andrew Filipponi. Have a great weekend, everybody.